What's good, YouTube? Back with another reacts from the dog, Gray Matter fanboy, Big GMF in the building. We got the ultimate form that cannot exist. That is a peak concept, especially after what we know the ultimate forms are and how like it triggers a race or a species to evolve through what was it like combat over like thousands of years with people of their race. So it takes what the Omnitrix already does, which peakifies, not a word, but takes the DNA of a species to its peak. The ultimate does that and pushes the species past what currently exists and kind of taps into a future force of power through what animals, aliens, and species do, evolution. So before we get started, make sure y'all boys like the vid. You know what I'm saying? I'm no hypocrite. I like to. Oh, brother.
There is an
Whoa, brother. You're not let me like the vid. This is a sin. It's y'all. Oh. Hold on. We're gonna refresh it. I told you I'm no hypocrite, man.
there is an ultimate transfer.
Oh. There's a lot to say.
There is an
Okay. Make sure I like the vid. See, it's capable now. We're able to do it. Please subscribe. Make sure you hit the noties. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you don't miss the movement. And without further buffers and hindrances, let's get straight into the vid from the dog GMF.
ultimate transformation that can't exist in Ben 10. And even though the Ultimatrix is said to evolve literally any alien, doing the same for a Celestial Sapien is very tricky. But could I be wrong? Can a Celestial Sapien actually go ultimate? And what would the outcome be if it actually did? Like the video and subscribe if you're new. Before a Celestial Sapien can go ultimate, we first need to know what the Ultimatrix actually does. The watch has an evolutionary function that when accessed, places an
Once again, great content from the dog. Excellent music choice. Excellent breakdown.
alien DNA sample under a simulated doomsday. This is a million-year worst-case scenario that forces it to evolve into a combat
Million?
ready version of itself. This kind of evolution pushes aliens to become more resilient and more powerful. We've seen this in multiple real-life Earth species, like bedbugs developing thicker exoskeletons and a resistance to poison, and peppered moths who have evolved their colors to become darker, blending in with trees better and hiding from predators. Evolution isn't linear though, and it affects every species uniquely, giving us many different possibilities for how it can turn out. And the Celestial
Pokemon reference. Also, now that I know it's a million years, I was gonna say is it confirmed that every alternate can beat its predecessor? But now it's confirmed it's a million years. I doubt something that has evolved through combat for millions of years is losing to you know what I'm saying? That's like saying, and this isn't even a million years. That's like saying, yo, could you beat a caveman? No way caveman beat me. No weapons. They're more physically fit, but I'm saying take peak human. That's what Omnitrix does. Peak human. Now bodybuilding, testosterone, all of that versus caveman. You know, even boxer, you consider that peak human for combat scenarios, because we're not even a million years past that. But is that person with access to all these martial arts losing to peak caveman? He was able to hunt down the tiger by himself one time. I don't think so.
Sapien is no different. But there are three possibilities that I have that come to mind for how this process could turn out. Making an alien go ultimate, as we said before, generates a simulation on an alien right from the DNA outwards. Now think about the simulation like a computer program being run, with the Ultimatrix being the computer. For a game to run well on any PC, you need enough processing power and memory. A good graphics card too, but I've seen people work around that already. The Ultimatrix runs these simulations nearly instantaneously, and it can give us an ultimate like that. But here's the thing, I don't think it will work with Alien X. You see, a Celestial Sapien is a being with limitless power that aren't confined by any rules. Whether it's physics, biology, or chemistry, these guys do not care. You can brand them as a being with a status of infinity. Now to transform into that being is mind-boggling enough. Of the three possibilities, we can look at my first theory, which is here on this old computer. Let's say we booted up this Windows XP computer, and we try to install Marvel Rivals. Let's also say we have enough space to install the game, and once it's there, we try booting it up and playing it. With the fact that a Windows XP computer is not...
I'm telling you, I try to play it on my computer with like the graphics card and CPU chip I had before, which is like from 2011, 2014. I think the chip, the chip's like 09. It's at 14. What I have now is probably 2014. What I had then was like 09 type processing power. This Windows computer came way before. So if I couldn't run it. It was potato quality and it was laggy. But like, I couldn't run it. Mind you, with the same Wi-Fi, I just updated my setup. It ran perfectly smooth. But Windows XP is not running it. So I think I get what he's trying to say.
Compatible with a high-end modern game like that, it will put a massive strain on your PC. We might literally have this thing catch on fire, or... And I think this might be the same problem we encounter with Alien X. The Celestial Sapien would most likely burn up the resources of the Ultimatrix as it tries to simulate something suitable for the evolution. This could take literally forever, going over millions, billions, and trillions of years, using up so many resources to create this artificial transformation. This might just result in the Ultimatrix being fried beyond repair, in an attempt to go ultimate. But here's a second option that would allow us to bypass our hardware issue and access an ultimate Alien X. And the way we do this is by using virtual machines, or by putting an Ultimatrix within an Ultimatrix. Huh? Let me explain. You see, a virtual machine is essentially a computer within a computer. It gives a user access to using multiple separate operating systems within their own physical computer. This can give you a more efficient way to manage your resources and more isolated environments for programs being run. Virtual machines are also a lot easier on hardware and can have multiple of them run at once, which would be perfect to simulate an evolution for Alien X. This virtual machine could maximize the capacity of the Ultimatrix and run the same simulations multiple times on multiple different operating systems. We can call it Ultimatrix.exe. In the simplest of ways, it would act like shiny hunting in Pokemon with multiple devices running all at once. With each computer doing the same task, it would increase the odds of success each time without crashing the Ultimatrix. And after testing more and more scenarios over trillions of years on this alien, all running concurrently, would eventually find us that shiny Alien X that we're looking for. Evolution isn't quite linear though, and after a successful simulation, we won't just be finding a green Alien X that sparkles and glows in the dark. However, there are two likely possibilities that I believe in as the way
pre-firing. One is it loses like, I think there's 3 heads traditionally in Alien X, if I'm not mistaken. Ben acts as 1, or in the Celestial Sapien, Ben acts as 1, and then the other 2 act as like, I think it's like compassion and like anger or something. And then I think 1 is like, okay, he can transform at will. If it like were to have an ultimate, it can use his powers without having to like follow the rules that exist for this infinite being. And I can't possibly fathom what another would be. But being that he's talking about an ultimate, he's probably not talking what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking more taking the limits off the watch with the ultimate. But he's probably thinking about something different. Let's see.
Alien X goes ultimate, with the first one being becoming the one above all. This is the main theory that I have seen not only on Twitter but from the Ink Tank as well. This is where the Celestial Sapien becomes an evolved consciousness and turns into a truly omnipotent creature, becoming everywhere and everything all at once. Alien X would metaphorically dissolve into the universal Kool-Aid and become something like most religious gods. However, the way this will affect the main 3 personalities, Ben, Serena, and Bellicus, is where we have a true difference. My theory is that it would make them all a separate trinity, but also one in the same, sort of like the Holy Spirit, Jesus, and Yahweh in Christianity. Each equally omnipotent, each equally the same, but each equally different as well. I think this merging would change Ben's personality completely and make him possibly an unemotive consciousness that can read the multiverse about as easily as a 6-year-old reading their name. However, that kind of true neutrality and enlightenment might cause Ben to never ever become human again, as he could possibly see no point in doing so. He would essentially become one with the cosmic energies of everything and never return to us. Think of something like when Barry Allen faded into the Speed Force and became one with it. A key thing to note though with Alien X is that the power in this transformation really stems from the personalities and are limited by the debate system. So another option of evolution would be a complete removal of the debate system altogether as a means of liberating Alien X's power. But there's a catch. Let me explain. In order to achieve this, the simulation would have to focus on Alien X's psychology rather than his physiology. It would have to be a trauma simulation that would break down Alien X psychologically, forcing Ben into making his personalities come forward and become more of defense mechanisms than alter egos that he has conversations with, creating a forced multiple personality disorder, each being an equal wielder of the power just like any other. This would have Alien X operate in a way that is based on the user's will and their own disposition, which would in turn give them their own unique form of powers and abilities to use in combat. They would all be bound by a sort of multiple personality disorder, each sharing the power of a singular body, sort of like how Moon Knight operates with his 3 personalities, distinctly like the differences between Stephen Grant and Mark Spector in the way they fight and use their abilities. This could give Ben different fighting styles based on who is in control at the time, with Bellicus being a brutish, stoic, powerful gladiator, an unstoppable force like Gladiator Hulk. Serena, on the other hand, could be an elegant, flexible assassin or rogue type, sort of like your Forger from Spy X Family. And Ben, being the embodiment of creativity and expression, could be a fighter who is only bound by his imagination, sort of like Gear 5 Luffy. This would make Alien X a lot more fun and unpredictable whenever he's in a fight, since it makes him more active with a variety of things that could happen. This would be excellent for stories, maybe combat where each head is struggling for control, or with the will of Serena or Bellicus overwhelming Ben for multiple episodes and having him not return to human form at all. But hey, that's just my thoughts on Ultimate Alien X. Thank you for watching. Which Ben got the better alien?
Nah, that's a peak vid. That's why we subscribe. So we hit them noties, man. That's a peak vid. Showskis. Yeah, it's like you can't. This exists, and I've heard it from Neil deGrasse Tyson, so that's my source. But there are some infinities that are bigger than other infinities, but in terms of our comprehension, infinite is already like infinite. Like, you know how big that is? You feel me? You can take any number that you can think of, count to, quantify, and then try multiplying that by billions. It's like, we haven't come up with that yet. You can try to use the rules that exist, but as you get to a certain point, those rules disappear. Like, you get to like a googolplex or something like that, and then like the old rules of hecta, octa, whatever disappear. You feel me? So it'll get to some point where it's like, okay, it's unquantifiable. So I like this take on the vid. Nice 8-minute vid by your boy GMF. I think that's a hard nickname. I think we're gonna stick with calling him GMF. Make sure, as always, you gotta do 3 good deeds. You can have one of them be helping build a community in the comment section. Make sure you check the link down below in the description to join the Discord, become a part of the Discord con. And, as always, drink you some water, with some clearly running low on. Touch you some grass and get you some sunlight. That'll be it for me. Peace.